Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Running Off Grid. I'm Alan, and today we are going to be looking at the Bluetti PowerOak EB150. It's an absolute beast of a solar generator. So the EB150 packs 1,500 watt hours of energy, which is an enormous amount to fit into such a small unit. People online have been running all sorts of stuff off of this. I've seen air conditioners, I've seen fridges, I've seen hair dryers, the whole works. So we're going to run through it, we're going to go through all the specifications and the features, and then we're going to just plug some stuff in and see what it can actually handle. Just a heads up, this unit was provided free of charge from Bluetti for me to test, but they don't influence anything that I say. They have no input in the creative process whatsoever. Let's get into it. First things first, what's a solar generator? So essentially, it's a massive lithium battery array combined with a pure sine wave inverter that's going to step that power up to 230, 240 volts. And then it's a solar MPPT charger. So an MPPT is a very efficient way of getting power out of your solar panel and into your battery. The pure sine inverter is a better type of inverter effectively. So you've got two different types, and the better quality one, which is the one that's in this unit, the pure sine, means that you can charge sensitive electronics and things like that, and you can get a kind of buzzing noise off of cheaper inverters, which can drive you absolutely mad. So again, it's all good stuff, you know, it's the kind of stuff you'd expect to see in a high quality unit. Effectively what you've got when you combine it with a solar panel is you've got the entire setup that people build into their vans, but in a portable unit. So I think one of the advantages of a solar generator in this kind of setup is if you don't want to get into the technicalities of building out your van's electronics, you know, you can look online at the wiring guides, and you know, if you're not particularly clued up with electrics, you can, like, it's perfectly doable, you can do it, but it's quite complicated. There's lots of separate components like the MPPT charger, the pure sine wave inverter, things like that, your battery setup as well. Effectively, when you get something like this, it's all just in one big box. Now, another advantage to that is that you can take it away with you. So if you're a weekender, for example, I don't know, say you don't live in the van full time, or potentially you're going to be changing vans, something like that, or even people that are, you know, in cars and things like that, and there's a whole kind of broad spectrum of people that are doing this kind of thing. What you can do is you can obviously just lift this up and just take it out of your van. Another really nice advantage, if you work with a laptop or something like that, you can, you know, take it out of your van and you can go and sit in a park, or you can sit at a nice bench somewhere, which is something we've found when you're traveling around quite a lot. It's a nice thing to be able to take your electronics with you and just work a little bit away from the van. So obviously if it's all built into the van, it's very much within the van. So that's, you know, one nice thing about a solar generator. Now this is a big unit, the EB150. It's chunky, it's large, as I said, it's a bit of a beast. One thing to take into account with that is it is quite heavy. So if I try and lift that up, it's really a two-handed job. You can just about hold it with one hand, but you wouldn't want to be walking any kind of distance with it. You're not going to chuck it in a backpack and carry it away. It's got a really nice sturdy grab handle there, so it's not a problem carrying it, but you wouldn't want to be going too far. You're not going to take it hiking, for example. But on the plus side, you've got an enormous amount of power. I mean, we're talking days of power for most people's needs, I'd have thought. Maybe even up to a week, something like that. Let's talk charge times. If you're plugging this into a solar array, got one down here, we're going to look at that later. If you're plugging into a solar array in good weather, you're looking at about 3 to 7 hours charge time. It depends on the capacity of the solar array. So you can go up to 500 watts of solar power, which is quite, you know, it's quite a bit. Beyond that, it just won't accept it. It's got a safety circuit built in. You can't over plug in, but it just won't charge. It just won't do anything. So 3 to 7 hours with your solar, which is pretty good given how big this is. And obviously you can just keep it topped up if you're, you know, in the sun for a lot. With the wall unit, and I'll show you, you get, so in the box, you get, you know, quite a nice high quality charging supply. So what you can do with that, so this is your wall power unit. Now, if you use this and you plug it in, and it makes quite a lot of noise actually. There's a fan built into this, and then there's a big fan built into that to keep it nice and cool. This is a 10-hour charge time, so you're really looking at like an overnight charge. The good thing about that in a way is that if you're, say you're a weekend or something like that, you can fully charge this up, you know, before you go away for your long weekend or whatever it may be. And that will then give you enough power. I'm almost certain, depending on what you're doing, but you know, it's pretty big. It'll give you enough power to get through your weekend and then you can charge it up when you get home, so you wouldn't even need to worry about topping up with solar or anything like that. There'd be more than enough in here. Now, one thing to note with this unit, which in the smaller units you do get, there's no 12-volt charger, so you can't plug this into the cigarette lighter on your car or your van or wherever it may be. It's just too big, so they haven't provided that. On the smaller units you can get the 12-volt charging, so you can just plug it into your cigarette lighter and you're good to go. You can have it sort of charging whilst you're driving and things like that. So it's just something to bear in mind with this unit. So the other thing you get in the box is your solar charger. So these are your standard solar connection cables basically. That will connect directly into your solar panel, and then this will plug into the front of the unit here. So in the front here you've got your input, so your wall charger or your solar power plugs straight into there. And then looking at what else we've got, so you've got 4 USB sockets on the front here. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can use them all at the same time. Then you've got this unit here, which is a USB-C. So if you've got a more modern phone, for example, they quite often use USB-C. A lot of laptops as well now use USB-C charging, so you can charge with the USB-C. You've got a DC charger there, so that's like your cigarette lighter, so anything that goes into your cigarette lighter on your car, you can plug in there. You've got your on-off button here, so you're just holding it down to turning it on, and then the panel will light up here. I'm not sure if you can see that because it's quite sunny at the moment. And then you've got your DC on and you've got your AC on. So again, you hold the button down and then that will allow the power to start flowing, and you've got your AC as well. Let's just turn that back off. I'm going to flip it round. So here are your AC sockets. So this is just like your standard at-home plug socket. You can plug your laptop in or whatever it may be. So you've got 2 of those on the back, and then you've got a cooling fan on the top as well. What do I like about this unit? Well, it's really well made. There's a really nice build quality to it. It's a sturdy bit of kit. It's well manufactured. It feels good. It doesn't feel cheap or tacky or anything like that. I really like the way it's portable. So for us, we have got a setup in the van, but to be able to take power out of the van is really nice. I also really like the way you've got your 4 USB sockets on the front, so you can charge 4 things at once, which is very useful. Things that I don't like about the unit so much, there's not a lot. I think it's a shame it's so heavy, but you know, that's just physics. I mean, you can't make it lighter. And then on the back, I wish the sockets were on the front, so that if you have it in the van, say you've secured it in the van somehow, it would be nice that you could have all the sockets on the front, so you don't have to have access to the back. It's kind of a minor thing. You could certainly use just an extension cable to kind of pull the sockets to where you want them in the van, but it would be nice if they're on the front as well. The only other slightly weird thing, I say weird, it's just quite noisy at times. So when the fan really gets going, especially when you're charging it, and when you're charging it using the wall socket, you've got the fan in the wall socket, and then you've got the fan in the unit as well. So it can just get quite loud and quite noisy, I'd say, but it's not a massive problem. Okay, next thing is to test what exactly this thing will run. So I'm going to go and grab as many electronics as I can find. We're going to start plugging stuff in and we're going to see what it can do. Right then, nothing too challenging to start with. Let's see if it will charge the laptop. Now this is actually a gaming laptop, so it takes quite a lot of power. It's not one of these modern sort of low energy ones, so it can actually be a struggle to charge on the go, but let's see what it can do. So as I said, hold this button down to turn it on, and then we need to turn on our AC power. There we go, it's charged. So it's using about 80 watts to charge this. Yeah, no problems at all. Let's find something else to plug in. Okay, this is going to be a real challenge. I've got the kettle. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm kind of skeptical because kettles are quite famous for being very difficult to run in a van because of all the power they use, but plugged in. Oh, fan's just kicked on, but the light on the kettle is going. There's only a little bit of water in here, so if the fan's kicked on, it's definitely working. Yeah. So that's running at 689, but this has got a 1000 watt capacity, so actually it's well within its limits. That's really impressive, actually. Right, let's try just plugging in a couple of phones. Something else to note too, if you do have a USB-C phone, is it does have the quick charging capacity, so it will charge your phone much more quickly than if using a standard USB socket. Just switch it on. And DC for the USB sockets. Yeah, absolutely no problem at all. Yes, that's only using 16 watts, so you could comfortably, have something plugged into all of these ports and you'd be absolutely fine. So, this should be interesting. This is the smaller unit that I was telling you about, so this is the AC50S. Let's see if this can charge this. Oh, there we go, fan's kicking on. Yeah, absolutely no problem at all. Let's just switch that off. So I think it's fair to say that the unit will handle most things that you can throw at it. Certainly any kind of sort of stuff you're likely to find in a van. I think where you might have issues is with things like larger microwaves, high capacity kettles, things like a very powerful hairdryer. Some of those draw like an awful lot of watts. So you want to check before you plug it in. But this thing will definitely run most of the stuff that you will find in a van, and I have seen it running things like air conditioning units, as I say. It will certainly run things like a small fridge over a weekend. You're not going to get like a full week out of it running something like that, and you've just got to be careful because obviously some units draw an awful lot more power than other units. If you're looking at like a van fridge, that's a 12 volt van fridge, this thing's going to run it absolutely fine for quite a decent length of time. If you're looking at like a massive American chest freezer or something, it's probably not going to work. But yeah, for most sort of camping, outdoor, van life needs, it's really good. Yeah, I think this will do most stuff. So there's just one last thing to show you with the unit, and that is charging it with a solar array. It's really simple. I've got the PowerOak foldable solar array here, but you can use different solar panels. It doesn't have to be their own brand. You've got the attachment already in the box, and all you do, plug it in the front, it turns itself on and it starts charging. Not an awful lot to see at the moment because it's fully charged, ready for this test, but yeah, really good. Useful thing to note as well is that with all their units, you've got the same charging port, so you can use the same cable and the same setup. So you could have this for your more portable unit, and then you can have your bigger power bank for everything else. Right guys, I think we're going to leave it there. I think that's a fair rundown of the EB150. I'm going to keep playing around with it. I've had it for a little while, but I'll keep using it. If there's any kind of problems or it sort of breaks down or anything like that, don't worry, you will be hearing from me. I will put a link to the product in the description of the video. You can get it on Amazon or you can get it direct from them. I think they've actually got a sale on at the moment as well, so have a look at that. So far, so good. Thanks for watching.